How are you? My name's JT, and I'll be talking to you today about professional football. It's the most popular sport in the country. Professional football comes from the sport of rugby. Rugby was created back in the early 1800s. Now, football basically adopted some of the rules from rugby, and it came up with the football rules as going through college and stuff like that. Walter Camp was considered the inventor of football, as we know it today. He's considered the father of American football. He came up with the usage of the line of scrimmage and the downs, like first and fourth and first and third. You have 4 downs to get 10 yards, as everybody knows in football today. The game was developed at the college level after he came up with how to play. They tried different things and played different games, and everybody kind of came up with different ways to make the game better. The first professional football game was played when William the Pudge, I like that name, Pudge, Heffelfingers, he got $500 actually. In 1892, that was a lot of money. He got $500 to play for the Athletic Association against the Pittsburgh Athletics. In 1920, the American Football Association was formed, and 2 years later, the NFL was formed. In 1958, the league really started to gain popularity. There was a game that was dubbed the greatest game of all time between the New York Jets and the then Baltimore Colts. The AFL began in 1960, and later the AFL and the NFL came together to form now what we know as the Super Bowl, which is now the biggest sporting event in the country, the most widely watched event in the country. Teams like the Green Bay Packers of the 60s, who had Bart Starr and Coach Vince Lombardi. They were the most popular team of the 60s. Vince Lombardi was also considered one of the fathers of football. He came up with a lot of the rules, and today, actually, the championship you get when you win the Super Bowl is called the Lombardi Trophy. During the 70s, the Steel Curtain was formed for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They won about 4 championships during the 70s. They were probably the most popular team with Terry Bradshaw and Chuck Nolan. One of their wide receivers, Lynn Swann, actually became a governor in Pittsburgh. During the 80s, the league continued to gain popularity with the Raiders as well as the 49ers and Joe Montana. More and more people continued to watch the game into the 90s with the Cowboys with Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, and Coach Jimmy Johnson is considered to be the most popular team of all time. Later on, they were dubbed as America's team, which Cowboys still hold on to this day. That brings us to present day, which football has just exploded in popularity all over the country. Everybody watches football, and it's considered to be the most popular sport in this country, but for ratings-wise, it's the most popular sport in the whole world. Today, the most popular teams are the New England Patriots with Pretty Boy, Tom Brady. I'm not a fan of him, that's why I call him Pretty Boy. They won 3 Super Bowls since 2000. With Coach Bill Belichick, who's considered to be very inventive and comes up with new ways to play offense and defense. Other good teams are the Saints. My personal favorite, the Indianapolis Colts, which I'm wearing the Colts jersey today of Peyton Manning, formerly of the Indianapolis Colts, which brings us to a part of the new game, which is trades and salary caps. In the old days, players would play for one team for the duration of their career. Nowadays, players are getting paid so much money that we have salary caps, and you can become a free agent. Now, basically, when your money runs out at the end of your contract, all the years that you played for your team, you can go move to a new team, and they can pay you more money. Now, Peyton Manning was hurt, and the team released him, and he signed with the Broncos, which then led them to release their most popular quarterback in the league, Tim Tebow. Now, Tim Tebow is the most popular quarterback in the league because he's squeaky clean, and he's supposed to be a man of faith. Now, America likes him because he's a good guy, and he played really well in college. So he's playing for the Jets now. A lot of what's changed the league now also is the rules. They have a new commissioner, Roger Goodell, who came in with a bunch of rules on player conduct and also player safety. The player conduct rules basically said that if you do anything wrong outside of football, you'll be put on a probationary basis. One of the examples of this is Pac-Man Jones, who plays for the Tennessee Titans. He broke the law like 6 different times, anything from shootings outside a strip club to robbery. He was put on a probationary basis for at least a year, and then he was actually off the probationary basis and allowed to play again for the Dallas Cowboys. The player conduct rule as well as the player safety rule, recently the Saints have gone through something that's called bounties. And the Saints have actually players because the coaches have paid the players to hurt the other team's players. They've actually given rewards to players for hurting the opposing team's stars. So that's very against what the league is for. That's very against what the commissioner wants. And the Saints actually lied to the commissioner and said that they didn't do it. It came out later that it did. So the league has handed down some of the most big penalties that have big punishments that have ever been in the league. Their head coach, Sean Payton, was suspended for a whole year. Their general manager was suspended for 8 games. And a lot of their defensive players are going to be suspended, but those suspensions haven't come down yet. In closing, NFL is my favorite sport. Football is my favorite sport. The NFL is my favorite league. Many people all around the country are following it. It's just continuing to grow. I have here Madden NFL, which is basically a Xbox game, PlayStation game that's helping the league gain in popularity. They have Madden NFL tournaments. They have different ways that you can play online and everything like that. So it's becoming very popular and very fun thing to play. So I hope everybody enjoyed the speech, and I hope everybody gets out and watches pro football. Thank you, guys.